Hey, hey, welcome in. Let the good vibes all begin. Something good is about to happen. Sure. Yeah. I've been waiting on you. Got a seat with your name. Started with a coffee chat. Now we about to change the game. You got a story worth telling, and I got a room full of ears. So drop whatever you've been holding, get ready because your time is here. Because when real people talk to real people, something shifts. When real stories meet real listeners, something lifts. Every Saturday we show up and we bring our best. Show up to Carrie Connects and leave it past. Show up, show up. Something is happening here. Carrie Connects, Carrie Connects. This is your moment, come near. Where every story intersects and every heart connects. From a coffee chat to the main stage, just bring who you are. Carrie Connects, Carrie Connects. Connection is the start. Carrie Connects. Entrepreneurs, voices, friends, where inspiration never ends. You did not come this far just to sit in the back. Everything you walk through was getting you ready for that. So step into the light. Let somebody see your face. Because the right conversation can change everything in this place. When real people talk to real people, something shifts. And real stories meet real listeners, something lifts. Every Saturday we show up.
Hello, hello, hello.
Testing, hello.
Hey, are you all able to hear us? If so, thank you all so much for joining us. It looks like we had a little interruption in our video, but that is okay. We are going to run the video back at the end. So I am super excited to be here with my honored guest this evening, and we want to thank everybody for checking in. We're going to say hi to Layla, Bill, Cache, Leanna, and anyone else who is joining us. Make sure that you say hello in the comments. Say hi and let us know where you are tuning in from. We are super excited to be here with you today. I am Coach Carrie, and my honored guest is Sensei Fred Jordan. He is a whole self alignment expert. And so we are just going to jump right into it today. But before we get into everything that you have accomplished, tell me who you are in your own words, not necessarily your titles or your resume, or your business. That's a whole lot that we have to cover. But what would you want people to remember and just know about you as a person?
Okay, great question. If I was going to say what to remember about me as a person would be the message that I bring. And that would be look within yourself in order to um, achieve in your excellence and your greatness. You have to become aligned. So I'm a beacon for the concept of applying yourself in totality and expanding your awareness of who you are in your totality beyond your physical being and your mental awareness, but the alignment of your emotional, the awareness of your emotional relationship, how your emotions are becoming developing a relationship with yourself, and you will see more. You will actually be able to produce any opportunity in the way that you were created to produce in.
Oh, I absolutely love that. So that's a great way for people to remember you and also to know you by. Now, you have a lot of titles. You are a Marine, a professor, an investment advisor, a world record holder, a doctor. When did you first realize that you were building something bigger than any of those titles?
truthfully, the awareness factors of knowing, accepting what is put in your heart is really the key. And then the things like the titles, they just came along the way. But
Mm.
the real component was becoming aware and accepting purpose, movement, existence. So everything was just as much of a surprise to me. I just knew in my heart, even as a young man, that I was destined to provide guidance, but first become aligned and then help others become aligned. And then I realized it's an ongoing process because we have never ending growth.
Okay, so when you say become aligned and help others become aligned, what do you mean by aligned?
Aligned starts with awareness. Become aware of your total existence. In a lot of our daily life, we look at one or two components. We'll take a look at even our physical self, physical being. We're saying, well, I'm going to the gym. You have to have some forms of flexibility and strength in the physical gym. Uh, and then, of course, accompany that with your mental tenacity, which is the awareness factors and knowledge of techniques. And then recognizing how those, like something just as simple as that, makes you feel. That would be a very um, minor example of become aligned. More so after the awareness factor is learned, become aware of how you can direct yourself. So directing yourself is the alignment of your that quantum state where everything exists at once. It doesn't have a time lapse or anything there. That's that beautiful mind of yours. That's that place where every possibility exists. And from that place there, as you continue to select and choose who you are, or recognize who you are and remember who you are, because you're all of that, you then learn the techniques, the physical techniques. If there's something physically that needs to be done, you have to learn the techniques of the lifting in the gym, applications in different trades, martial arts science, and then
Mhm.
having a relationship with your emotions where your emotions become up under your will. So many times we are living in, so many people are living in situations where the emotions attack them.
Mm.
And the attack is really your emotions saying, I am a part of you and I need you to get me under control under you. When you get your emotions under you, they become like your spider sensors. They work for you. And the only thing that's what they're asking you to do, they're saying, get control of me. Because you were created as the head to become the head. You don't
Mhm.
supposed to stay the tail. And then you're able to direct yourself and create in a purpose, operate in purpose. And in that sense, that's a form of alignment. And you can accomplish pretty much anything you would like. I have no right to say what you can and cannot do. No one does. I say, oh, nobody can do that. And I understand that firsthand because people have told me that there were things I could not do, uh,
Mm.
such as break bricks and establish world records and do different things that takes a type of alignment. But no one's opinion is more significant, and it is not your opinion when you get to pull from any possibility. We live in a world where anything is possible based on thought. And sometimes we get stuck in words such as manifestation, waiting, different things that put hindrance or not fully applicable to the application of self. Faith is more than a concept of wait.
Mhm.
Faith is applied, which comes with an understanding of once you make your mind up, it's already done. At that point, it's a process.
So I hear you talking about emotions. So are you saying that if a person gets their emotions together, they can have anything that they want?
If a person do have a relationship with their emotions where they can define it and put it in a place where they understand it to be from different scenarios or different triggers, they
Mhm.
can then hear their own personal voice more clear than hear opinions and hear other people's voices that was somewhat shared with us growing up. You have to learn how to reconnect to the voice that told you to stand up on 2 feet when you were a baby, but you didn't
Mhm.
have any understanding of science. No one told you how to do that. No one told you to do that. That was your confirmation of the relationship that you have in your totality and the fact that you are much more than the 2 feet that are on the floor. You're also the thought and you're also the witness.
Wow, that is powerful. So more than your 2 feet, you're also the thought, you're also the witness. And I understand the idea that people are able to do this as children. Why do we lose that? Some people lose that, it seems, as adults. You mentioned the word remember who we are. So what happens in your opinion about that space between childhood and where a lot of people may be now, where they are not feeling like they can control their emotions and manage themselves, and the things that they want manifest or come into reality even though it already exists?
To remember is to redefine uh, the upbringing. Where,
Mm,
for example, when we were children, we were told we were pretending in our thoughts. I was a superhero. I was going to save the world, but I was told that was all pretend and all make believe.
mhm,
And
mhm.
what I've come to really understand is you're not pretending at those stages. You're really becoming. And then you
Okay.
really didn't start pretending until you became an adult and you start looking
Ooh.
to fit in and you let go of who you let go a lot of parts, not all of it, but a lot of parts of who you truly are. And that's where the alignment comes in, where you can learn how to quiet those voices and get back and tap in and reestablish a stronger relationship with your inner being, which assists you in your purpose.
Mhm, mhm. That makes a lot of sense. So assistance in our purpose, but how do we know what our purpose is? And how do you know what assistance to even ask for?
Truthfully, the assistance doesn't have to be asked for. You're given it
Mm,
throughout your daily existence. It's more so recognizing the assistance. So
okay.
even in our own personal lives, we see that there have been situations where things have taken place in our lives, and we say, "Well, that was beyond me. That was beyond what I did." So we
Mhm,
know that we have a divine protector that intervenes in our life. There is something that is beyond our own individual consciousness that still makes sure there's a way when we didn't necessarily see a way, and that there was an opportunity when we thought that there was a setback. It is the realization of you expanding into that form of your totality. So let's go back to the question again so I can touch both parts. Ask me that again.
I wish I could. It's just a
Okay.
natural conversation. And so I don't even know the question. I was just curious about, going from childhood to adulthood. And then how do you know what your purpose is
Okay.
once you become an adult?
Okay. Then thank you for repeating it. It's
Mm,
like explaining, what does love feel like. You know your purpose. You really don't discover your purpose. You remember it.
mm,
And in the remembrance of purpose, it is a resonation. There was nothing no one could tell me about my when I was growing up. Everybody just said, "Oh, he a martial artist, he a karate person or something to that nature." But I
mhm,
always knew that it was way more than my ability to fight or punch and kick. It always played a role in everything else that I did. My temperament, my my military background, my ability to work with Japanese and in Okinawa, and then the I knew that it made more sense that we're connected because in that space, in your walk, in your purpose, or in your peace, you
mhm,
recognize peace, and
mm.
that's where we're connected at. Chaos don't have a tendency of recognizing chaos. Chaos just attracts chaos, but it doesn't recognize it. Peace recognize peace. And
You
so from go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say so. Peace recognizes peace, but a lot of people feel like they're in chaos. So how do you go from chaos to peace?
The alignment. So the actual physical techniques, not just the thought, but the physical techniques start in your breathing exercises. Become
Mhm,
conscious of what in scripture says this is how we became, this is what brought us to life. It was God breathing breath into our lungs. Become conscious of that very basic, all day, all throughout your existence relationship. You start with your
mhm,
breathing exercises by just becoming aware. You don't have to control it in an interim. You just become aware of your breathing. It develops mindfulness.
mm. So
The mindfulness is the key. And as things continue to resonate with you, like I said, it was really nothing over there. And I'm not the only one. It's within all of us. It's it is truly, honestly taught in all scriptures as well. The idea of the internal place. Where is the
mhm,
kingdom of God located? Where is it that exist beyond the body? They're just components that make up who we are.
mhm, mhm. So when you say exist beyond the body, what does that mean? There are places that we exist beyond the body.
Great question. The awareness of when you go to sleep at night,
Okay.
somehow or another, you still have conscious activity taking place in a non physical location. But that place is real because it's an experience.
Mhm, mhm.
So even though we might have been told, "Oh no, those are not real; those are dreams." If it's not real, it doesn't exist. But if you went and then you experienced it, and some people come back with clarity. How many times have you received clarity in your dreams?
A
So
lot
how are
of
we going to say
times.
they're not real?
Mm,
How many times have you visited loved ones, and or if loved ones have visited you? Oh, well,
mhm.
those are not real. But didn't it make you feel better? No.
Oh,
When
that's so
my
good.
when my teacher passed away, uh, Professor Gregory Jaco, it took a serious toll on me. Where
Mhm,
I was, I knew you have some time, but you're going to have to get past it. He was such a wonderful instructor,
mhm,
where he
mhm,
allowed where you were able to grow and become who you are. After the about time I got to the third day of mourning and sorrow, uh, I I was able to still have a form of resonated connection with him in my sleep.
mm,
And after that, I was not sad anymore. To moving forward, I didn't cry anymore. I didn't cry for him. I was at peace. And And it made me really honestly say I have to dig in more and carry this forward and continue to evolve it. We come from our own lineages, our own cloth of movement.
Mhm. So we come from our own lineages, we come from our own cloths of movement. So is there a specific moment in your past that impacts who you are today? Like when you think about your own personal movement and your own personal lineage, is there a specific moment that it connects to? You said you always knew, but is there a specific moment that you can tie it to?
Multiple. Because here's what happens. It's a it's a process. Life has taught us, biology has taught us, everything has taught us that things has to evolve. That's
Mhm.
us as well. We grow as individuals, and then we grow also as a collective whole in humanity. So the process individually is again the me knowing that there was something, but not fully clear, didn't have the words, didn't have the definitions, didn't know how I was going to ever explain it.
Mhm.
But because of sciences such as metacognition, quantum physics, psychology was always there, and physiology was always there. But
Mhm.
for me to talk with people and share with people, how do I run, my knee through stacks of bricks without feeling any pain? How am I able to run head, feet, knees, elbows through solid concrete and not have any form of damage, not even in my later years? I wasn't able to. We use terms such as ki and chi, but now
Okay.
we can also use scientific understandings of where everything comes from. So when you say let's tie it to an experience, you have your individual experiences through the process. So you'll say, oh, well, this happened to me in school. So that did something for me in school. Or this happened to me in my family life. That did something for me in my family life. Well, what are the
Mhm.
other things? Oh, those are just little experiences along the way. As you continue to grow in your awareness, you start to define everything that took place in your life had purpose, reason, wisdom to get to push, to nudge you forward in the awareness of yourself. There's not just one particular area once you evolve. When you're on your way, you can tie back to different things. But once you get there, it all exists. It's a continuation growth. It doesn't stop. It's like you evolve over and over and over, and you become more aware of your abilities to get things done. And especially when you get the voices out of you. When you get them other voices gone, that's really the hurdle. Those
Mhm.
posts that were put on you in school, they told you A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Your knowledge is not based on a grade, and I'm totally academic um, supporter, but I
Mhm.
believe in an academic reform too,
Mm.
because we are putting coats on our children that they're going to have to fight to get them off of them, because nobody can grade you in life. You're going to have to know that, for example, school tells you if you ask for help, you're cheating. But of course, how long did it take us to get to a point that in life we see the importance of reaching out to each other and asking for help. That's not cheating. You know, there's so many other, of course, uh, different understandings about that, but it's just making it be aware, make it understood that there is no stop. There is a continuation of growth.
Mhm.
There is no achievement that is greater than the next step. So we
Wow.
continue to blossom. And that's really the beauty and the wonder and the blessings of living.
I love that. idea of being able to take something from a dream, take something from reality, and then taking that imagination that we had as a child and reconnecting with who we are and reconnecting with our purpose. Because you're absolutely right. A lot of people are not really using their imagination in the same way. And you're right that the school system and other systems have put coats on us, as you call them. And I love the way that you said that we have to take those coats off. As you know, my son is in a non traditional educational situation because I also believe in educational reform. And so uh, Layla has a question. She said, what would you tell someone who has lost their motivation, that imagination, that childlike spirit and energy? What would you tell somebody who lost their motivation, how they can gain it back?
I would tell anyone who feel like they have lost their motivation or who is up under the illusion that they have lost their childness.
Mm,
I would tell them to um, prepare for a wonderful journey into realizing how powerful it truly is. Because the only way you can discover it is to realize that you need to look for it. So when you actively look for it, you're going to find out you were that imagination and more.
mm,
So the way when you're thinking is gone, there's a lot of things. I don't punch and kick around the house anymore. You know, sometimes I might throw a kick. I threw a kick yesterday. I think it landed today. So I'm not too sure yet. But you have to be okay with taking your journeys in life.
mhm, mhm,
And it does this, just like the market.
mhm,
But you will always ascend in your whole being if you're willing to take the journeys, if you're willing to take them here.
mhm,
Sometimes you have to push those things. They're not gone, they're still there. But you get to rediscover it and have more value for it. They go away quietly because when you don't use it, you lose it. But they're not
mhm.
gone permanently. You have the ability to read it to resurrect in there.
So I love the idea of resurrection, bringing something that you think is gone back to a place where it always existed. But I'm curious, you talked about the breathing and making sure that you are breathing because life was breathed into us. I believe that we're one with the universe. So I love that tie in of the creator breathed into us and we came into existence. But how does that connect if I'm looking for that motivation or looking for who I always have been? How does breathing play a role in my remembrance?
Okay. And I'm gonna ask you to help me to explain this. Do me a
Okay.
favor, put your
Mhm.
hands on your knees, put my hand on each
Okay.
knee, sit back. Yeah. With your feet flat on the floor,
Mhm.
breathe in and pull your shoulders up.
Put my shoulders up.
Now let go like a balloon and let your shoulders drop.
Nice.
Did you feel for a slight moment how nothing else mattered?
I did.
That is what breathing does. It brings you back to the drawing board, to where you have a clean slate, to where you
It's
understand time is not against you. It is for you to mark. It is the realization that every second is a second chance.
mhm.
Every second is a second opportunity. Nothing's never too late, and nothing is never stuck because we exist in duality. If there is a up, it's mandatory to be a down. If there is a down, it's mandatory to be a up. If I show you the front of my hand, I do not have to turn to the back of my hand in order for you to know it exists, because we understand that if there is an in, there is an out. You're never stuck. You're only and you're always what you define it to be. That's how much power we have. We create it within us, and then we promote it into our um, physical reality. And once you create it, or once you define it with self, and you become aligned with it, it automatically happens in your physical reality. I didn't have to. I was a sensei before I became a sensei. It wasn't.
Mhm.
I want to become a sensei. You become it first, and then the different recognitions come.
So that's interesting because a lot of people have this idea. I want to be wealthy. I want to be a millionaire. I want to be a teacher, a doctor, a lawyer, a sensei. And so you're saying that you become it first, and then what happens after you become it? You become it here or you become it in reality?
Okay. So let me share three different planes of our existence that we should be
Okay.
familiar with. We exist in our mental. That's where we're having those different conversations. No one else is in there but us individually. We exist there. That's a real place.
Mhm.
Becoming it there. The alignment is the physical act. So in our physical motions, what not only habits, but what aligned activity and habits are those activities and habits aligned to your thoughts of what you have become? Because if they're not, you didn't make up your mind to become it yet.
Mm.
It's a domino effect. Now, a lot of people spend time fighting with themselves in that place. Oh, I got to do this better. Oh, I got to do this better. And that's all you
Mhm.
becoming.
Ooh.
I got to do this better. I got to do this better. That's all you becoming.
Mm.
I'll, I'll tell you a story. I was growing my organization, and I had the largest. I actually inherited the school from my teacher, and I created the largest martial arts school in the Midwest.
Mhm.
And I was able to put classes up in different cities, and travel throughout the country, teaching the philosophies and the teachings for individuals to grow. But I never felt successful,
Mm.
and a lot of that was because I was listening to what was told to me about what I have to be
Mm.
in order to be successful, and that's not the truth. Your success is your alignment and your direction of yourself. Once you start aligning and directing yourself, everything else becomes the byproduct. So what's the biggest one? People, they want money. Have you
Mhm.
learned money?
Ooh.
You have to learn it. If you don't learn it, how are you going to want the money? That you To make your mind up, everything else has to follow behind it. If it's not following behind it, you haven't made your mind up. So let's go to another question. How do you make your mind up?
Come on, Doc Cook. Mhm.
You make your mind up with a physical, mental, and an emotional exercise. Once you breathe and you clear yourself, you then build in your breathing what you're doing, what your action steps are, and how does it feel at this moment. You should feel it already done.
Mm.
I can give you another example of that. When in brick breaking, when we break, especially at the higher level, the high brick breaking, when we start talking in categories of like 10, That's not our physical strength powering through. That's a resonation that took place within us. We
Mhm.
know it's going to happen before it happens. I know that. Okay, yeah, I can feel it. It's already done, executed, boom.
Mm.
So we don't approach the bricks and the breaking items and say, "Oh, I'm scared. I hope I can do it." Okay, I said I was going to do it. I'm gonna try my best. Oh no, I can't do it. It's
So
all a scare.
it's a scam.
It's all a scare.
Listen,
And
listen. I love that. I love that you're explaining how the process really works because a lot of people sit in melancholy. Oh, I wish I had some money. But there's the idea that I wish I had some money, and then there's the whining, the complaining, the lack of action. So it sounds like the same concept if you're going to break bricks. And I understand that you have a world record of breaking 59 bricks in 60 seconds with no injuries. That's absolutely phenomenal. So if I'm gonna listen to somebody about execution, it's definitely going to be you. So when I go from this mindset of this is what I want, this is who I am, a lot of people get stuck in a place between going from point A, this is what I want, to execution. And I think that Cachet asked a great question. How do you make up your mind?
your mind is made up
Ooh.
when it comes from you. If it's sometimes the struggle is I'm trying to make up my mind based on perception of what was told to me or what I think it should be. Once it's resonation, once you have mental resonation, not oh this is what I'm going to do and accomplish. No, I have resonation in my purpose. Go
Mhm.
through that. You go through that space where everything exists and you find out where is it that it exists, where it resonates with you, where you're at your best, where it gives you the best feelings. I'm not talking about the outcomes, the feelings. Of course, oh, I would feel so great if I had money. Money is the outcome. What is
Mhm.
it that makes you feel great? Having the money. Okay, so if the money is what makes you feel great, what is it that makes you feel great beyond having something to buy things that you are already given because you can have anything that you already want?
Mm.
It's an illusion of if I don't have the money, I can't have anything. And you want to get your emotions right in that. So a lot of times we want things thinking that that's going to resolve our emotional problems.
Mhm.
And I knew people who had money, but that doesn't take away emotional challenges.
Mhm.
So you want the alignment is what am I'm using it. The alignment of how do I make my mind up is a resonation of who you are. It's a remembrance.
Ooh.
Once you
Mhm.
remember it, because you already know, you already made your mind up when you were younger.
Right.
You just were then that younger person in you was afraid because the world was teaching us. They
Mhm.
they had us reversed. They didn't realize that Prophet Abraham was young when he was trying to let the older people know that worshiping statues were not going to protect them, but they weren't going to listen to a younger person.
Mhm.
They weren't going to listen to him. So when you're younger and you have these understandings, that's what we're told even in scripture. You maintain a childlike nature of
Mhm.
mindset where you have your creativity. Don't let
Mm.
nobody steal that from you. That don't mean you have to walk around skipping and things of that nature.
Right.
But you want to know that you need to be able to go there. And a lot of times it seems like life has a tendency of wanting to rob you of that, wanting to pull that away from you.
Mhm.
When you get those drags, when you get those lownesses, those are not what we have started to define as only like a depression.
Mm,
It is really an invite of a journey. How much you sometimes, the depressions is really, we get an opportunity to discover deeper parts of ourselves.
mhm, mhm,
But if you're up, but how you define it along the way is the key. Defining it. Don't
mhm,
define things against you. Either way it goes, you're going to be right. There is no if I define it against me, it's going to make me better.
mm.
You define things in your favor because you were born in favor. And being born in favor and realizing favor, why would you go against what you were created in the image of? There was only one other existence that, according to the teachings, would against. Why would you become the weapon formed against you?
Causing yourself not to prosper, right?
But
And I love what you just said about mindset. Well, you actually didn't say this about mindset. Layla said mindset is everything. But what I hear you saying is that, and I had a conversation with the teacher this morning, but this is mindset, but it really happens when you narrow the focus and you set your mind. And I think mindset is different from setting your mind on remembrance of who you are, who you've always been. Um, I think that's a really, really powerful statement because a lot of people are stuck in that concept of depression, not realizing that they are not the depression, it's an experience. They're not the depression itself. And so Leslie says this is the law of polarity, one of the seven universal laws. And I love that idea of the universal laws. I know you all are going to have an extended conversation tomorrow. So I love being able to set this foundation for you all to continue your conversation. Sharon says money gives choice and stability. What would you say to that?
she's 100% correct.
Hmm.
It does.
Hmm. So
But
money.
that's not. I didn't say anything like opposite of that.
Hmm.
I'm I'm
Hmm.
I'm into the money thing.
Okay.
When I got a whiff of it, I went and knocked my investment licenses out.
So let's talk about that because I know you and I have had conversations, and you just made the statement a little while ago that people don't understand money. And so I'm curious to hear more about that and what made you get your investment licenses. And can you tie in Martin's comment? He's saying if money is the goal, you're shallow. Walk in purpose and resources would become available.
I understand money 100%. That's how I was generally operating. Resources
Hmm.
always just came available. I will go to New York, and I have a standing to this day that when I come to New York to teach classes, I don't have to pay for my residencies
Hmm.
because people wanted to give their gifts to the world also. So, but they'll give through you.
Hmm. Hmm.
So I've had situations where the people from the Airbnb literally gave me my money back and said, every time you come here to work with the children, this is a place for you. So that component is correct, and it's not opposed to the statement of what money also has its power of.
Hmm.
Because money is a wonderful servant, but it is a terrible master.
Mm,
You want
good.
your money to serve you, not you submit to it.
Hmm.
And that's where generally the emotional confusion is. We are over it all
Hmm.
because what you can't get done with something, you can still get it done another way. So it's not something that you're waiting on. It's something that you're growing in. We grow in it.
Hmm.
We become more mature in it, and we help each other in it. But money is its
Hmm.
own science. You have to know that science to understand it. It was more than just work and have money, or to get contracts and have money. It was how do you acquire it? How do you maintain it? How do you grow it? And how do you pass it on?
Mhm.
And those are existing in the teachings that generally you should acquire when you get like a different financial licenses. So to answer that question of what brought me to that point, and it would have been COVID. When
Mm.
COVID came, I was running classes in multiple cities, and it stopped all of the classes and all of the programs. And I've had an opportunity of going within myself and learning more things about me as well. And in that time, COVID changed the dynamics of our humanity. Everything changed. We're
Mhm.
doing interviews like this versus going to the studios and the different TV studios the way I used to. So in that moment, in that period of time, I had an opportunity to learn that we go to a place within and everything exists there.
Mhm.
Decide what it is that you want and put it in alignment with your purpose.
Mm.
That's again, everything is about evolving. You can do whatever you want. You can put things in what you're doing in life, in your purpose. You don't have to walk away from purpose. And I decided that I wanted an investment arm because I didn't want money to be the reason I don't make things happen.
Mhm.
Now, that journey was something amazing because I learned that I didn't understand money at all. Didn't matter how much money I made. Or then I come to find out I didn't know anybody that knew money either.
Mm.
We no one shared with me, by as simple as this sounds, buy assets before you buy liabilities. No one told me that growing, no. And as simple as that sounds, or we come from cultures where we were just trying to maintain. So that is
Mhm.
not those are not shots fired toward my community or people around me. We were trying to maintain,
Mhm.
but still in the maintaining, we didn't have an understanding of how money works. So once I started to get an understanding and get clarity in it, it touched me in my heart in the sense of, no, this has to be taught along with alignment.
Mhm.
As the students grow up now, all of our tornado students, um, and hello to if there are any tornado students on, um, they learn the concepts of financial education along
Mhm.
the way in their training of alignment. So if you have alignment and then you have financial education, there you can do whatever what you choose to do, whatever you feel like your purpose is or your calling is, or what it is you're trying to get done. So I went and knocked those licenses out, and I know that I had an advisory, an investment on me when I made my mind up to do it.
Mhm.
When I made my mind up to do it, life insurance 66365 MLO. Get them just doesn't matter. You know,
Let's
people are
get it
saying,
done.
"Oh, that's not nothing. That's not going." No, it was a game changer for me.
Mhm.
It was a game changer for me, and for me, the knowledge alone is what's worth it because it helped me understand what to do with things myself. And I know that regardless to whatever happens in this world, again, if it's related to COVID or if it relates to having some forms of financial movements, I'll never be knocked up under down the way I was knocked down again, the way I was knocked down then, because you come back with new pillars.
Mm.
Financial clarity was one.
And I absolutely agree with you and love that the world did change so much during COVID, and that idea of continuing to elevate self through additional education, through additional arms for your business. And a lot of people got new understandings during COVID and post COVID. And so for some people, we know that it didn't go well. But for others, that time and space in the world really set a lot of people up for an amazing, amazing comeback. And so some people are still stuck, though. They're stuck in their mindset, even though that was 2020. I had to look at my calendar. That's funny. Even though that was 2020. And I'm like, what year is it? And this is 2026. Some people are still living mentally in 2020. They haven't overcome that devastation. So I hear one thing you talked about doing was getting your financial licenses, making sure that you would never be in that situation again. And so do you feel like you are different from pre-COVID to post-COVID? Do you feel like you're somebody different in a sense of with these new understandings?
I think COVID was a shift for the world, for
Mhm.
people to re-engage themselves and discover different things about themselves. I think people have had all types of wonderful experiences during COVID, new types of realities. But the duality is it comes with pain and destruction, but it also comes with growth.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
the changing is, it becomes more enhanced when you recognize it. When you recognize it, the people are not there. They might say they're stuck, but in reality, what they're doing is people are defining their norms now. I'm about to start defining my presence. They're at a
Mhm.
clear blackboard, so I'm going to start putting things in place. I'm going
Mhm.
to start
Mhm.
operating a little different. And there's no
Mhm.
rush for you to change in any form or manner, but it's better for you to become aware and don't think
Absolutely.
that there's something wrong. Well, what's wrong with me? How come this isn't working? How come I'm like this? Be
Mhm.
grateful for it all, and
Mhm.
you'll see why it's there for you. But it's hard. It's hard to use your gifts when you think that they're a punishment or you think that they're making you something less than someone else. You're not here to be compared to anyone else. Your 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 gifts are not so that people can agree with you and you share it and then, oh, I understand it. Your gifts
Mm.
are to provide understanding, not to be agreed upon. That is the creating of, again, coming using scripture, creating on earth as it is in heaven,
Mhm.
if
Mhm.
you will. Of course, we can define it in a way where it wouldn't be and so on.
Right. So I'm curious if that situation had not taken place, like if COVID hadn't happened. I know you said that some things changed for you financially in terms of your business structure. And so you said, well, I'll never be in that place again. And you started to learn and understand money and get your financial licenses. Do you think that you would be in the same place if COVID had not happened? Do you think that you would have still wanted to acquire financial licenses?
I honestly can't say. I
Mhm.
know this much. Growing up, I wanted to have money, and when I would write things in my teenage years, I would say I'm going to learn like finance. So when I went to school, I would like make sure I take finance classes and accounting classes because I wanted to understand money. I
Mhm.
didn't know that it was another subject called
Mm.
security. So I'm chasing finance. So I learned how to do P&L statements, account, books and things to that nature. And every time I ran into something in running my own business, I went to go take the class. But securities, I wouldn't have from it had to be introduced to me.
Mhm.
But of course, when I was a kid, I made my mind up already. So when you become aligned, things come in when it's time for it to come in. I couldn't go
Mhm.
teach any classes. I didn't have any.
Mhm.
So I
Mhm.
had the time to producer, SIE, Series 6, Series 63, Series 65, MLO.
Mhm. Mhm.
Uh, and then I got a couple of more that I'm going to acquire as well for my own knowledge
Mhm.
and building in that.
Mhm.
But if you don't know what exists, you don't know what to do. So that's why when I
Mhm.
speak about alignment, I'm not using the
Mhm.
word necessarily manifestation. I believe that that word has become a little cliche to where people stay in their mind
Mhm.
and they say, I'm manifesting it and it's going to happen. That is your
Mhm.
conviction. That is your
Mhm.
relationship. But the alignment is the the vibrational being across the table from your mental
Mhm.
to your physical to your emotionally accepted it, feel it, realize it. When you realize it, you don't have to ask for it anymore
Okay.
because
So
you
it's
I
the
know I've already realized it. It's a process. You have to understand you get into the vehicle and you're on your way.
Mhm.
But you can't define how the journey is going to be because that's
Right.
what life is about. Life is
Right.
you're gonna have to you're gonna continue to learn, grow, and so on.
Mhm. So I like the idea of learning and growing and looking at different ways to understand things. And so when COVID happened, I know for me personally, I went through a lot of changes emotionally, financially, physically. Um, my weight changed. My son and I used to have this joke where we would say pandemic pounds because my weight went in the direction that I did not want it to go in. And so for some people, that space is a real space. It's not an imaginary place. Like those are things that actually happened. And so when you're trying to go from the events that took place that really impacted you in real time, it's a real experience, it's a real situation. Like certain things did happen in real life, like my money changed, my weight changed. Like it wasn't just here, it was like here, like in this space. And I know you talked about the three different planes. And so not in a way that minimizes what people feel is their reality, their lived experience, but how do you go from how do you create? I guess my question is, how do I create or how do people create another reality? If I have these experiences, they still impact me in real time. How can I go from that reality that's still impacting me in this space and go into the reality that I want, the reality that I know that I deserve, the reality that I should have? Because some people are frustrated, some people are upset because they don't feel like it's just their thinking. They don't feel like it's just in their mind. Like, now this ish really happened. Like, and I'm still being impacted by it. Like I still ain't got no money. I'm still fat. I'm still hurt. People still passed away. So how do I go from that energy, that space where this stuff is still even 6 years later? Some people have really not recovered. So, and I know you and I had a lot of conversations. So, I'm just asking because I know the conversations with you helped me in real life. So if somebody is in that place and they're in that space, Jay is saying be open minded and think outside of the box. How do we get outside of the box of this is where I am? When I look at my bank account, it's negative. And I'm thinking, like, oh, I want to be a millionaire, but I don't have no money. Like, help me fix that
Okay,
if possible.
definitely. There's nothing that exists that does not have an equal to it. There's no
Mm,
element that doesn't have a cure. Some
hmm.
things just have to be redefined. So earlier, and then reminded of,
Hmm.
earlier I discussed a breathing exercise because when you are in that state, that is your emotions attacking you. That's the dragon.
Hmm.
So if you're not being attacked, well, I'll get to that in a moment. But
Okay.
first you want to tame the dragon. That's where that breathing exercise come in.
Okay.
Because there'll be absolutely nothing that you would do looking at it and being bothered by it and letting it kick you and punch you that will change it. So if you made your mind up, you have to know it to be true.
Mhm.
If nothing bad happened yet, don't live in the possibility of what negative might happen. This does not replace work.
Mhm.
This does not replace, staying diligent in what you're doing. But if you have been in your life and you have seen favor in your life, what makes you think that it ran out?
Mhm.
Recognizing favor is favor. When you
Mhm.
recognize I have a challenge and then I know that I'm going to get through it. The blessing is recognizing the favor. But if you can't recognize favor without the challenge, you'll get there if you made your mind up. If your actions, not just where I'm jumping around uh, uh, because I have to get the bill necessarily paid. That's the one that gets us. We have to
Mhm.
bounce, 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 bounce. If it's related to the financial situation.
Mhm.
But if you're making moves out of fear,
Mhm.
that is normally what creates the dragon. You make moves out of, I'm about to do this because it resonated with me. I'm comfortable. I'm confident. I'm going to make it happen. Because money is not the paper. The paper is a representation of the energy.
Mhm.
The dollar stays the same, but the value goes up and down because the energy changes. So energy exists in um, its own uh, capsule, like energy attracts
Mhm.
to each other. That's why we have matter, because matter is made up of energy and they repulse away from each other. They're not
Mhm.
touching, they're repulsing. So your existence is all and everything. You get to create, operate, and move in all and everything from here. Once you become whatever you become here, is what you're
Mhm.
going to continue to actualize based on how you define it in
Mhm.
your being. How you define it in your being is what it's going to be. Take power and control and understand that it's a journey, and know that if you got through things, what will make you think you won't?
Mhm.
What are we praying for then?
Oh.
Why are we calling on God, Christ, Jesus, and Allah? And somehow or another, we can't make it in life, or we can't do what was put in our heart to do.
Mhm.
You have to unravel it so it can make sense for you. But these are components of sciences that were not taught to us. That's not generally taught.
Mhm.
But there are sciences of our humanity. So martial arts was selected for me, being one of the teachers of it, because it addressed physical, mental. Back then, I called it spiritual, but now I understand it's physical, mental, and emotional, because the whole experience is spiritual.
Mhm. So I just want to say that I appreciate that, because I didn't put the comment up, but someone in the chat from my peripheral vision made a comment that they were leaving because they were frustrated about the difference between the mindset and the reality. And I hope that they stayed. I wish they had stayed, because that's the exact place that I was in. I was like, this is some bull ish, right? And you and I have had multiple conversations where I kept going back, and you were like, Carrie, recognize the favor. Carrie, living your preferred existence. Carrie, come back. And I was like, oh, this is, like, I don't have no money and I'm fat. Like, okay, choose a struggle, right? And so I'm like, and you were like, breathe, center yourself, living your preferred existence. You have to become it before you can become it. And my life is just so different because I did the hard work. I know that you know, but I'm telling the audience, I'm not the same person that I was a year ago. I'm definitely not the same person that I was 2 years ago. And so while these are challenging conversations, that narrator, that inner voice that whispers to us that we're not worthy, we're not valuable, we are not going to get out of this situation, it is challenging. I kept saying, I am a millionaire. And I kept using these I am affirmations, but then I would look at my bank account. I would say, I am a millionaire, but then my phone would ring and it was a debt collector or a bill collector. And I just had to continue to repeat the process, continue to breathe, continue to recognize that I'm one with the universe. And a lot of that came from the hard conversations. And although Sensei Fred and I are friends, right? We have a long history in terms of our 20 years we've met in high school. But the other part of it is, as a sensei, he has really helped me personally, the person that you all love and adore. A lot of that is based off of my conversations with him. So I'll encourage you to reach out to him, to connect with him on LinkedIn, connect with him on Facebook, so that you can continue to have your own conversations outside of the comment section. So it can be, and I understand that, and that's why I use my personal example just in full transparency. It can be frustrating, and you think the person is not talking down to you, but trying to help you to realize some new understandings. But I get it. When you're living in that space where it's tough, it's financially stressful, and you're like, no, this is reality. This stuff is real for me. And then you have somebody say, live in your preferred existence. And then the phone rings and it's a bill collector, or you get a text message and it's another bill. This ain't even the same company, right? It's a different bill collector. It's like, how do I get out of that space? And I promise you, from what I know personally, that the breathing helps. The breathing and centering yourself and recognizing who you are and going back to that childlike imagination. I would not have been able to do that without Sensei's help, not as quickly, right? Maybe in another 10, 15, 20 years, I would have got it together. But I love that, and I appreciate that you had those conversations with me, even when I felt like giving up on myself, that you continue to encourage, you continue to push, even when I was on the phone in tears, that you continue to say, don't you recognize the favor? And I would be like, well, my bill did get paid, but what about next month? And you're like, just stay in this month, like recognize the favor. Everything that I cried about got handled. Everything that I thought I was going to lose, I still have. And so recognizing the favor, it is a journey. I want you all to be encouraged. I want you all to be inspired. Don't give up when the conversation gets tough. Listen, your breakthrough is right there. Your breakthrough is right there. And it's usually the part where it feels the most challenging, the most difficult. That's when you have to give it everything that you have, even if it doesn't feel like you giving it a whole lot. If it's your last, give it to yourself, because victory is here. I don't even want to say it's on the other side. Everything that I was worried about, it got fixed. It just did. And sometimes I didn't even know where the money was going to come from. I didn't know how the weight was going to go off. I didn't know any of it, but that wasn't my issue. That wasn't mine to fix. I fixed my mindset. I fixed my breathing. And I just continue to have conversations with people who really, really, really had my best interest at heart. And Sensei Fred Jordan is one of those people. Daily gratitude absolutely does help. I was looking for Leslie's comment and went by so fast. And she's saying, doesn't the process involve consistent practice? So we're going to wrap up with this question, because Leslie, I'm trying to get it together. She was my first guest and she told me to do 45 minutes because 30 minutes was not long enough for her. And then Cachet was my second guest. And I said, okay, I'm going to do 45 minutes. We went over and I said, okay, I know with Dr. Fred, I can wrap this up in an hour. And now we're over an hour, but it's been such a great conversation. So any final thoughts, any closing statements about the process involving consistent practice? And if you want to speak to briefly about the comments that I made, we have a few minutes we'll take for that. And then I'm gonna give my closing thoughts and we're gonna wrap it up.
Okay. Uh, the recap, the parts that are significant. Understand that you exist in more than your physical reality. Your
Mm,
physical reality is where you're having your challenges at. Because if we're going to play it from one side to another, you have your physical reality here. You also exist in your vibrational being, which is here. How am I
mhm,
feeling? Then you have, I'll keep it to try to keep it simple, that the mindset or the quantum state. That's what
mhm,
everything is at once. The challenge becomes in that vibrational being. Have I already made it happen here?
mm,
Because the physical has a time lapse. In the mental and the quantum, there is no time. Everything exists at once. The key to what you experience here is based on what you recognize here, what you see here. In quantum physics, there's the slit experiment where all possibilities collapsed once there was an observer. What you are here in your vibrational state of a being is what you're going to see here. I don't mean you're going to have money that's going to pop in your bank account. I mean, it's going to take place. And until then, because what's worrying about it going to do? So where would you
yeah,
rather be? Well, is there more I need to do? Did you accept it? Are you doing the physical tasks? The things that Carrie just mentioned, she also had physical activity. She changed the diet. She went and started learning how money works herself. It made a shift for her in her physical practice, which played a role on her physical being to where she was able to recognize more that things are being taken care of, things are being handled. But you have to know that you exist more beyond the illusion of sight. Sight is just one place. You have to bring it across the table. That is why it's called alignment.
mm,
Start with your breathing so that so that the possibilities can sit down and you can reframe them. What you reframe them in is what they become. And you're always telling yourself the truth. Hopefully, I made that make sense.
it definitely makes sense to me. I am looking forward to your conversation tomorrow with Leslie on UBU Live with William Rochelle. And I think it's really just been an amazing, amazing conversation. I personally got some new understandings. I thank you for taking time out of your schedule to have this conversation with us. If you can hang on, we will reconvene backstage after the song, if it works, goes off. But I want to thank everybody for being here, for actively engaging in the comments. I didn't even get through all of the questions, but that is okay. Um, I'm just so grateful that we had an opportunity to have this conversation. And so I just want to say thank you. Thank you to everybody that stayed over the time. And this is Carrie Connect. So make sure you reach out and connect. I will put all of his contact information in the comment section after this show is over. Thank you all. It's been great. Thank you.
Hey, hey, welcome in. Huh. Let the good vibes all begin. Something good is about to happen. Sure. Yeah. Now we about to change the game. You got a story worth telling, and I got a room full of ears. So drop whatever you've been holding, get ready because your time is here. Because when real people talk to real people, something shifts. When real stories meet real listeners, something lifts. Every Saturday we show up and we bring our best. Show up to Carrie Connects and leave it fast. Show up, show up. Something is happening here. Carrie Connects, Carrie Connects. This is your moment, come near where every story intersects and every heart connects. From a coffee chat to the main stage, just bring who you are. Carrie Connects, Carrie Connects. Connection is the start. Carrie Connects. Entrepreneurs, voices, friends, where inspiration never ends. You did not come this far just to sit in the back. Everything you are through, we're getting you ready for that. So step into the light. Let somebody see your face, because the right conversation can change everything in this place. When real people talk to real people, something shifts. And real stories meet real listeners, something lifts. Every Saturday we show up and we bring our best. Show up to Carrie Connects and leave it bright. Show up, show up. Something is happening here. Carrie Connects, Carrie Connects. This is your moment, come near where every story intersects and every heart connects. Over coffee chat to the main stage, just bring who you are. Carrie Connects, Carrie Connects. Connection is the start. We started over coffee just to see if it was real.